Today on Focal Point, we will be discussing transportation and nutrition. We will see what students have to say about these topics. Hello, I'm Maya Trendy.
And I'm Tom McCarron. Welcome to Focal Point, the magazine show about the Community College of Philadelphia on CCPTV, the 3-time Emmy-nominated educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia.
When I think about transportation, I think about gridlock and stress.
When I think about transportation, I think about a leisurely stroll down the promenade.
Well, Tom, that sounds lovely. Speaking of low-impact exercise, I know a lot of students who commute to school on bicycles.
Now let's take a look at our first segment, which explores cycling as an alternative mode of transportation.
So the reason why I ride a bike is, well, number one, it's a great use of my time because it's my transportation and my exercise kind of in one. So I don't have to do, I don't have to I don't have to exercise as its own thing. Exercise is part of this other thing. So I'm saving time, don't have to buy gas, much cheaper than a car, no insurance. The upkeep on a bicycle is, maybe a couple $100s a year. Mm-hmm. With a car, you're looking at much more than that. And I like being independent. I like to take the subway places, but I don't want, to be out with my friends and then it's 12 o'clock and then now I don't have a way to get home.
Yeah, those are all great reasons to ride a bike. I like to ride a bike for some of the same reasons. One is, of the major reasons, is definitely getting exercise. As I get older, I get fatter and my metabolism slows down. Mm-hmm. So having to ride and get my heart rate going, riding to work, to school, wherever. It's a great way to get some, would that be cardio? I guess?
That's cardio.
Cardio in on the streets and also get where I'm going, like you said, So it's really good exercise. It's fun too. I like to kind of pretend a little bit like I'm on either a really fast motorcycle or I'm flying or zooming in some type of spacecraft while I'm riding through traffic to kind of make it more fun for myself, or just let my imagination go as I travel through space at high speeds, but not stuck in a car, because that's kind of you're just on a couch moving. It's not really exciting, whereas a bike, you're leaning.
You're feeling the wind through your hair.
Yeah, there's a lot of sensations going on when you ride.
And you can, if you want to take it easy, you can take it easy.
Yep.
But if you want to push it and really crank it, you can do that.
Yeah.
If you want to have some fun with it, albeit a little bit more dangerous, but going through traffic can be a huge
rush.
adrenaline rush.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Finding I like riding a mountain bike is what I have, and I like taking curbs, jumping off curbs, jumping up curbs, going off the road a little bit onto the grass or up some rocks or whatever.
The nice thing about being in a bike is you're not so dependent on, which way a road goes. You can go against traffic. Mm-hmm. You can go up on a sidewalk. You can cut through places that you wouldn't be able to go through with a car. Yeah. There's plenty of times, I'm sure you've been in this position where you're in a car and even though you're just going around the block, it takes 15 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, you got an appointment and I just got to find a spot. 20 minutes later, you're late and everyone's looking at you funny. It's also, it's great for also just being able to stop on the fly. If you're going by a garage sale, in a car, you're not gonna stop and look through the box of junk, the dollar box, but on a bike, you're not losing any gas, you're not losing any time to just stop and look and explore a little bit,
You have much more freedom, much more control.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think a lot of the times having a car is sold as having more control over what you do.
Sure.
And maybe that's true outside of the city.
Yeah.
But within, you know, a city especially like Philadelphia, which has bike lanes and has, you know, places to lock up and bike stores, you know, if you're out and you get a flat.
Right. It's easily remedied. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that is true. Like the American narrative has always been that the car equals freedom. And, you know, for a lot of people, I think it does do that. But I think a bike definitely represents freedom to me more than a car would.
Yeah. Would you, you know, you ride a bicycle and you're talking about the feeling of being on a motorcycle. Like, you know, when you're coming down like Chestnut Street in West Philly and it's this huge hill and you're just flying.
Yeah.
Would you ever make the transition from bicycle to motorcycle?
I would like to someday. If I can afford to get a motorcycle, I would get one. Yeah, but I can't right now.
Yeah, me neither.
Can't justify that. But I'd still, even if I were to get a motorcycle, I'd still ride my bike most of the time and probably just take that out on weekends or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I love cycling, Maya. I'm an enthusiast.
And it's a very eco-friendly way to get around. Not to mention, it's an excellent way to stay in shape.
You can have a bike for every mood, Maya. You can have a dirt bike when you're feeling kind of dirty. You can have a lightweight Italian bike. Buongiorno.
You are a very creative soul, Tom. Our next segment is about riding on SEPTA, the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. Let's watch this.
Every day I commute to campus by driving in with my car.
The way I commute to campus is I take the bus and then the train and then I walk a little bit.
I commute to campus by taking the bus.
The way that I commute to campus is that I take the 10 trolley to 43rd Street and then I hop on to 43.
I take Route 43. I commute from my apartment in northeast Philadelphia. It's about a 5-minute walk to the bus, and then the bus takes me straight to the school.
With the garage, I use my student ID, and with that you usually pay like $1 or like 50 cents less. And I feel like that should just be like the consistent rate between everyone.
I do the monthly, so I pay $96 a month.
That'll be a large chunk out of my paycheck every week.
I think a lot more students would take the bus if they were a little bit more affordable.
I think CCP should include the fare and financial because it'll be more convenient and students will be able to get to school more and they wouldn't miss a lot of days as they do.
SEPTA is not reliable. There's been times where my bus just didn't come at all. And sometimes whenever they take detours, I'll take it one day and it'll be a set rule for the next 3 days. And the fourth day I'll follow the same rule and then it's different. So sometimes I'll miss the bus that way because I wasn't updated on whatever they were changing for that day.
I find that the 43 isn't always on time. So sometimes I go out early just in case, and sometimes I'll have to wait a while. The 43 in particular has been having a lot of trouble lately, and sometimes I've had to wait for up to a half hour.
Traveling with SEPTA, it can be tricky because like it could say one time, but then it could change to like an earlier time or later, which can make you late for class. So it's not that good.
One thing that CCP could do to help assist students is that they could lower parking rates in the parking garage. They could also try to like offer their own kind of transportation.
I think it would be great if the college could help students pay for the bus fares. I've been at other colleges that did something like that where the college paid for the bus fare. You would just swipe your college ID and you get a free ride. I think something to that effect would be great for students.
A lot of CCP students do use like the bus and the train to get to school, so I think they should like try to work something out.
Well, it looks like the majority of the students here at CCP use SEPTA to get around Philadelphia.
Yes, SEPTA is a cheap way for struggling college students to get to class on a budget.
You ain't lived till you took a ride on the 34 trolley, Maya. You ever done that?
On the 44, no, but I think I've been on the 16. There's lots of trolleys in the world, Tom. So many students struggle financially. I'm glad there's affordable methods of transportation for them.
Who could have known that there would be so many options for college students to choose from when it comes to going to school on time?
Absolutely. Imagine what forms of transportation there'll be in the future.
Yeah, it could be a dog sled, could be a camel train, could be teletransportation. Well, Maya,
Hopefully.
can you guess what's next?
Either another segment or another segment.
That's right, Maya.
Yes.
So let's view this next segment.
The transportation I mostly frequent to get to school is mostly a SEPTA, mostly train.
I use SEPTA.
I take SEPTA. I use both my car and SEPTA.
I have to ride different modes of SEPTA transportation about 4 times a day.
I use public transportation, also known as SEPTA here in Philadelphia.
Every day I had to take the L and then I had to take a bus.
SEPTA's been okay in my opinion. There's always 1 or 2 random disturbances, but overall for me they've been quite consistent.
You might get on a bus and somebody might not be in a good mood and they may be cussing out the bus driver for 15 minutes.
For the most part, the school really doesn't pay for my transportation, but whatever money I make from my job, I mostly put toward transportation on my key card. So I mostly just use SEPTA for the time being, until I save up to get a car.
The school doesn't help me pay for transportation. However, I think it could be a good added tool for those that are in need.
I absolutely think the school should help pay for transportation because there's kids that, sometimes we don't have the money for it,
It would not be cost effective to hand every single student transportation money because it's already a community college. They do have a program, I believe, through Single Stop that does offer some form of transportation, either reimbursement or partial cards or something like that.
I use the Market Frankfurt line that I transfer over to the Broad Street line, and then I just walk up to the school from there.
It allows me to study before I get to class. It allows me to free my mind versus driving here.
I think SEPTA is a good way of transportation for those students that don't have a car or anything like that.
I'm new to the world, I'm 20 years old, so I'm just getting the hang of things. So, for me, it's the best form of transportation.
Maya, have you given any serious consideration to saving more than just putting money under your mattress or getting that used vodka bottle out of your bureau and putting money in there?
Yes, Tom, I have to save because if I don't, I'll have nothing to lean back on. So that's correct, Tom. Saving is something that is very important to me. With the cost of transit, food, and bills, it all adds up. That's why I'm glad there are alternatives that fuel our bodies, like nutritional supplements.
You couldn't be more right, Maya. My secret is to spend less to save more, so I can afford nutritional supplements. They are great.
That is great, Tom. However, it isn't all about saving money. It's about staying healthy and fit. Exercise often works wonders, and eating healthy and taking vitamins is better than anything. But don't you think?
I do. I think vitamin B12 and B1 and D and C, they're all great.
Definitely, Tom. And on that note, we have one more segment to enjoy coming up, so feast your eyes on this, Tom.
So I have a doctorate of nutrition science. I'm also a registered dietitian. I've practiced in a wide variety of environments. I've worked in community nutrition, clinical nutrition, research. I worked at the federal level at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, working on nutrition policy and communications. And I've taught for many years, but I just recently joined CCP as an assistant professor in the Department of Allied Health. So when it comes to regulating supplements in the United States, there's 2 different agencies that are playing a role. And that would be the Food and Drug Administration, who's in charge of the safety, and the Federal Trade Commission, who's in charge of making sure that advertisements are accurate and aren't misleading. And of course, another important stakeholder in this is the manufacturers, because of course we need to rely on them to follow good manufacturing principles and guidelines that are available to them. Once a product is on the market, if a manufacturer becomes aware that there are adverse side effects for their supplements, they are required to notify the FDA. And this is where the FDA's role is really regarding safety and once something's already on the market. So they need to make sure that if something is found to be unsafe, that it's removed from the market. They also have to make sure that the information provided with the supplement is accurate. So when we talk about what's provided, we're talking about the actual packaging and an insert that could be in a container, like a bottle or a box, as well as the labels and any health claims that appear on the supplement. And then the role of the FTC, or Federal Trade Commission, they really come into play with advertising. So they will regulate and make sure that advertisements for supplements aren't misleading, that appear on regional and national television, in newspapers, online, and also in direct mailing to consumers. So if they become made aware that advertisements are misleading, they will take action. So supplements are complex, and what might work for one person might not work for another person. And this is because there's a lot of factors at play. Someone's age, their gender, their health status, what they currently eat and drink. In terms of what could be beneficial, if someone's diet is lacking and they just eat a poor diet overall, a multivitamin is typically a good place to start. And then there's certain nutrients that we know are effective in a supplement form across the population. For example, vitamin D and calcium, we know that they're important for good bone health and keeping bones strong. We also know that folic acid can prevent neural tube defects if a woman consumes it while she's pregnant. And we also know that omega-3 fatty acids, those that you find in fish oils, like salmon and mackerel and tuna, those fatty fish, that they can decrease risk for heart disease. But for a lot of other supplements, there's still not an overwhelming body of science to really say if they're valuable. So the first step would always be to see their primary care provider, whether it be a doctor, a nurse practitioner, etc. And when they meet with them, they'll be able to run any lab values or do any assessments that are needed to determine if they need to use a nutritional supplement. And other healthcare providers that can be very helpful when determining if something's needed and if so, what to take, are pharmacists, because they will know about the interactions between medications and supplements, as well as dietitians, because we'll be able to evaluate someone's diet and look at the foods they're currently consuming to see if there could be any gaps. The last step would be, once you start taking a supplement, is to make sure that you always have a list of the supplements that you're taking available, knowing the product's name, the dose that you take, the frequency that you take, your supplement, and also the reason why you're taking it. And this is a similar kind of list that someone should keep for medications as well. So there are a couple of common misconceptions when it comes to nutritional supplements. I'd say the first one is that all multivitamins are equal. And in actuality, there's no legal definition of a multivitamin. So manufacturers can use the term multivitamin if it contains 2 or more nutrients. And so the only way to know if a multivitamin, what it has, is to really read the label, and then you can compare products. When it comes to things that are natural, it's important to remember that an herb or a botanical can be natural, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's safe for human consumption. If you think about poisonous mushrooms, or even something like arsenic is unsafe. So I would recommend that someone go to food first. That is what we know is going to be the best source of getting essential nutrients. Before taking a supplement, the recommendation would be to try to change up your eating pattern so that you are getting more variety first. Or if there's a certain food group that you're not eating enough of, trying to consume more of that food group. Key strategies are to make sure that you're being smart, being aware, and being careful. And when I talk about these, one, we already talked about being smart or being informed. So talking to a healthcare provider that is knowledgeable, also doing research on your own and going to reputable websites or non-commercial websites. But also look out for things like unreasonable claims. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. If they say you'll feel the effects within an hour, it's unlikely that that's truly the case.
Now that's a lot of information, Maya. I feel so much better equipped to get diesel. How did you know I enjoy that last segment, Maya?
How else are you going to dominate the basketball courts like Skywalker if you don't have an endurance to dunk?
Maya, I take supplements, of course. I'm not the Hulk.
Oh, well, unfortunately, it appears that that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for watching Focal Point on CCPTV, the 3-time Emmy-nominated educational channel of the Community College of Philadelphia.
I'm Tom McCarron.
And I'm Maya Trendy. See you next time.